Yeah. Yeah,
Hello
it
and
is.
welcome to the Villains Talk Show. Beside me is Sara Vike. I am her co-host, C4. And in the Aether, we have a Grease Goblin, an Insanieac, and a Sir Jeremy. And we're the Villains Talk Show and Podcast. Hello and welcome again. Every Wednesday, we do this talk show podcast, and every Sunday, we do Double Tap Sundays, which are like just two shots. And we named Double Tap because Insanieac had a great idea. Not, I won't deny that. Yeah, I won't deny he had a great idea. We gotta let him have it.
He has lots of great ideas.
Do we have to let him have it, though?
Yes.
No. Yes.
We don't.
It is his idea. He has great ideas. It's good.
Anyway, on Wednesdays, we do talk show and podcast style format where we just do roundtable discussions. That is today. And today's topic, as you can see up in the beautiful this way, because I pointed the wrong way again.
It's the other side.
Is laughing at death. Or near-death experiences, essentially. You know, those things that you do where, like, you get away almost scot-free, like maybe a little hurt or banged up, or actually scot-free, and you kind of look around at people looking at you and like, wow, I should be dead. But I'm not, so I'm just going to walk away. And I think we've all at least had one. Right? Am I right to make that assumption?
I certainly have.
Sure.
Well, and I'm going to assume an Insaniac is an emphatic yes.
Oh, buddy.
And, I guess we'll take it away. I guess I'll start. I have a lot, so I'm not going to go through all of them right now. I'll go through them later, but the one that made me think of this idea is I went hiking the other day, and I was coming down. I was actually ending the hike, and there was this like crevasse you have to go through, like this small, smooth rock crevasse. It's about like 10 feet up, and there's a little 4-foot drop, and it's all rock. And I was in my hiking shoes, and the rock is on an incline, and my footing just gave out. And instead of like my foot giving out from underneath me, my entire body went. So I knew that I was going over the rocks. And so I basically just bent my knees and put my arms over my head. And my left shoulder went, you still see like kind of the bruise. Anyway, it all just went right into the rock face. And I just remember thinking to myself, because I put my arms over my head, I remember thinking to myself, like, man, if that had hit my head, I would have gone into the more rocks below me, and I would have hit my head twice, and I would have probably died. And for about 5 minutes, my buddy just stood there looking at me as I just kept laughing. I couldn't say any of this to him. This was going on in my head, but I was just laughing. Just laughing. In pain and laughing. And yeah, no, that's not the only time I've done that. Whenever like I have an experience like that, my first reaction is always to laugh. And I was talking about it just before we started the stream, and I'm glad that Sara, who I'll go to next, was telling me that that's a common reaction. So you've also laughed at death.
Oh yeah, lots of times. I think it's a fairly, like, it's just a physiological reaction that when you have all that stress built up and it's suddenly released and you're okay, it's just a physiological reaction to laugh. I think a lot of people do it. It's not an unusual thing, but
Not
it is weird.
Not psychological that manifests as a physiological outburst.
Yes, I suppose.
So tell us about yours.
My most recent near-death experience wasn't actually that near-death, but it was a little scary. It was exactly a week ago. I went for a walk at a place I really love, just a camp in the middle of the woods. And I walked all the way around this little circle of the camp, and I came back towards my car, and I was like 100 feet away or so, not far at all. And I looked into the parking lot, and I was like, that's a weird animal. What is that? Oh, that's a bear. It was a little scary, but thankfully it went away and left me alone. As far as like times I've actually almost died, I think the closest I've ever come was at that same camp. It was quite a few years ago. It would have been 2011. I had been working there for the summer, and we had just wrapped up and done all the cleanup and everything and put everything away, and a bunch of us decided we wanted to go tubing down the river that's nearby. So we grabbed the tubes, we were smart, we implemented the buddy system so that we wouldn't lose anyone, and we went for like a 3-hour tube ride down this river, and all got out at the end and realized we were missing a pair of buddies, my brother and a good friend of mine. And we were a little scared because we had no idea where they were, and we were driving back and forth up and down this road, this rickety camp road, with a bunch of us sitting in the back of the truck. And at one point, the truck driver was stopped up at the camp, and a whole bunch of us were standing in the bed of the truck, yelling at someone who was on the porch of the camp building, about how we couldn't find my brother anywhere. And the driver, because she was panicked, we had lost how old was he? Like 12? We had lost a 12-year-old. And she started driving. And there were 3 of us standing up. One person fell down inside the bed of the truck. Another one fell out and like did a somersault and fell onto the ground. And as he was falling, he pushed me over, and I fell over the gate of the truck. And it was a short truck, so I nearly hit my head on the ground, but I also missed hitting my head on the hitch by about this much. And had I hit my head on that, it would not have been good. Yeah, it was fun.
I have 2 questions. First of all,
she didn't realize that we had fallen and kept driving for a ways. Yes, John.
that wasn't a question, but that was a great answer to something. My questions were: have you had any more near-death experiences at this camp? And can you give me the location and name of this camp secretly so I could never attend it?
There are many other reasons not to attend it. Those ones are fine.
Let's oh no, keep going.
I don't know what I was gonna say. What were you gonna say?
I was gonna just move it on. See.
No, everything else has just been like almost getting in car accidents and dying, you know.
So we'll come back to that. We'll come back to the more scary ones later. Let's move over to the youngest of us, Mr. Goblin. This is when you say something.
Something.
There you go. Have you had any near-death experiences, or are you too young to have had these? I doubt it, because everyone does, especially as a teenager.
So usually when you're younger, the more like you to do something.
Not that I can think of.
Unless you're a goddamn bubble boy. Really? You've never
You have to keep in mind that I also forget a lot of stuff.
You've never like accidentally run into that wall full of swords and like fallen down and all the swords like fall around you, magically not touching you?
That only happened twice.
See...
Maybe the definition of near-death experience is a little loose.
We'll move on and give you some time to think. Let's go into Insanieac.
Well, I've had a few, but like the only one that kind of really hits me, like that I usually remember, like I almost at least I think I almost drowned.
I was gonna say we're trying to do the ones where you laughed at death first, but if you want to start there, you go for it. I'm not gonna stop you.
I mean, it's the only one that really stands out to me.
Go for it.
Yeah, I was like 7 or 8, maybe 9. Swimming in like a public pool, and these pools they had like those inflatable kind of like not the floaty kind of styrofoam like boards sorts. They're pretty big. You could hold like 2 or 3 people on them. And when I was a kid, the shit was like still kind of big, but not like too big. And I had gotten myself stuck underneath one of these things, and I couldn't reach the bottom of the water to use like any movement to actually move the thing off of me. So I was stuck underneath this thing for like a couple minutes, and then my grandfather pulled me out of underneath it, and like I was like choking up water and shit. Like I didn't think I was gonna get that out of that. I thought I was gonna fucking drown. And he pulled me out of the water, and I was just like coughing up water hardcore. I'd like sit on the edge of the water for a little bit, and like it was the only time I really felt like I got like a really close call with things. But even then, like, yeah, it was a big one that stand out for me.
Not even in the dark ghost house you lived in, you didn't feel like you were going to be possessed and have your life taken from you. Evil
Not so much.
aberration trying to force itself into your supple body.
No, not really. That wasn't what I would call a near-death experience, though. Even so,
All right. So we've had one kind of close call and one just horrible camp counselor, and that one. So let's move to Sir
I
Jeremy.
was a camp counselor, so
That makes sense. Because I have a few, I really do. But let's move over to Jeremy.
I know I've told a couple of them before, but the youngest one I can remember would be the second car accident I was in. Drunk and driving. The driver of our vehicle passed out. And I kind of semi-watched it happen. So late night, driving through the flatland of Saskatchewan, there's like nothing around. Hit the ditch, truck bounced into the air, rolled like 3 times before it hit the ground. And I remember in slow motion being upside down, like looking out the front, the windshield. And like, this is about, I was only like 12.
That was with your mom, right? I remember.
No, stepdad.
Stepdad, that's right. Yeah, you have told that one.
Yeah.
that's terrifying.
Crap. I've never been in a car accident. Of all my near-death experiences, none in a car accident.
yeah, that was one of my other ones. I almost did. I almost ran into
Yeah.
moose.
Oh,
Yeah,
right.
just driving down the road and like, yeah, this big ass moose comes around the corner and it's like a pretty tight turn and we're driving this van and he's like swerving all over the place and I wasn't even like I was not even sitting in my chair. I was like standing in between like the 2 passenger seats, like between the driver and the passenger seat, kind of looking through. And my dad was driving, my brother was in the passenger seat, so if we crashed, I would have been probably really fucking dead.
Yeah. Wow.
So,
Surprise more than anything.
unless Grease Goblin has one, I have like other than the one that just happened, I have 3, like 3 big ones that I remember in my life.
There was this one time I jumped off a building.
Was it fun?
Go on.
It was.
Like with a
What were the
parachute.
consequences?
Away
No
from
parachute.
cops? How like was it like a foot tall?
You missed
Would that
context,
really be
Tom?
considered a building?
For ants.
Building for ants.
Yes.
So there's that hotel in Vegas called the Stratosphere
Ah.
with the amusement park and all that built on top of it.
And you're supposed
That
to jump
sounds
off
cool.
the building into what?
Free fall.
Life changes.
Into what? Like
Onto the ground.
Okay.
No, he's still there falling.
Please, you're being obscenely vague. Please be more specific.
You jump off the roof or off the top of the building and you land on the ground.
Is there anything that happens in between those two besides falling?
I feel
There's
like
a
we're
rope.
missing the. I feel like we're missing the.
There we go.
near-
There's what
the
we're
near-death
missing. There's
experience.
rope.
Out of all of them.
Is it a rope or is it like a bungee cord?
No, it's just like a rope. Like if that were to break, splat.
I feel like we're still missing the near-death experience.
I think there's still context
Yeah, I
missing
couldn't think
here.
of one.
Oh my god.
They just like.
I mean, the rope was very creaky.
Where's
I just
where's
jumped off a
the,
roof one time, guys.
where's the applause sound effects when you need it?
What's that about leading a horse to water?
So the 3 I had, I'll start with my earliest, I guess. When I was young, I went to sea. I know it's the beginning of a shanty, but it's true. When I was 17, before I went to sea for a while, I went on a sail ship for a year. SV Concordia, she sunk. But when I was on it, she didn't. She was still alive. She was still up. And I remember going up the Suez Canal for the first time in my life, 17, and it was the day after my birthday. And we had 120 foot rhythm, which means waves that are all 120 feet. So what that means is not that they're 120 feet, it means they're 60 feet top, but they're 60 feet bottom from sea level. So you have a rhythm of 120. And our ship's bow is only 90 feet. So every time it hits the water, there's about a 30-foot water coming over the bow. And it's a sail ship, so we have sails and we tie them down. And you always have to have people on watch. And there was 8 of us on watch, about 2 a.m, so pitch black. And all of a sudden, our bosun comes running in the galley, and he starts saying, "What is it? Was it the T-gal? No, it was the course sail. The course sail's unfurled, which means all the ropes had come off the foremost sail on the edge of the ship. So if you look at a ship and you see those sails on the very end of that thing of the mast that comes out horizontally along the water, that's just the foremast, and on it is the course sails. And so they had all come loose. And so just as 8 of us had to go up on ship, no safety equipment, pitch black, and we go onto this rigging, and every about 5 or 6 seconds, we go up and we try to tie down as much of this sail and fold as much of this sail as possible before we move on to the next one. Because as soon as the ship starts going down, if you don't grab the netting in time, you come off. And one time I missed it. Like the second or third time I missed the grab, and I just felt my entire body in the air and watched everything go. And my bosun actually grabbed my shoulder and pulled me down. And you grab the netting and then you go completely underwater. And for about 2 or 3 seconds, you are just utterly submerged in water. And then you just feel the pressure of all the water get away from you as you get pulled up out. And as soon as you crest that water, because you can't see what you're doing. You're just trying to grab the other person's hand on the other side so that you can hand them the rope and keep tying. And that took about 10 minutes on this netting with no safety. And that was the first time. That one I always laughed at, because that was, I mean, when are you ever going to say you were tying down sails on a dark and stormy night on a sail ship? Never. So that one
sounds
thrice a week.
horrifying.
I mean, it really was, but looking back on it, it was hella fun.